Welcome to today's demonstration. I'm going to show you guys how to do not just French toast, but with a really good kind of custard to dip them in. And I'm going to show you how to top them with a caramelized banana syrup. So let's run through our ingredients. This serves 4 people, depending on how many slices each person would like. We're going to do 4 whole eggs, 1 cup of milk, 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar, and inside that also I've added that half a teaspoon of cinnamon. We're going to need 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. I have 8 slices, about a ½ inch thick, of some sort of bread. It could be egg bread, white, even cinnamon swirl bread, sourdough if you like that as well. We're going to use this nice artesian bread. It's really thick, very soft. In fact, it's even better if you open it up, lay your slices out the night before and let them dry out just a little bit. And then we're going to need 2 tablespoons of butter to cook our toast in. Okay, let's get started. Let's get started first by making the custard that we're actually going to dip the French toast in. So I'm going to tell you, most of the time you guys just take egg, add some milk to it. We're going to flavor that custard so it's going to soak into the bread and actually flavor the inside of the bread and not just the surface of the bread. All right, so I have my 4 eggs. I'm going to crack these first, and I'm going to go ahead and whisk these up because, again, it's really hard to make sure that albumin and that yolk are mixed together really well. So before I actually add the milk into this, because once I add the milk, it's going to be a little harder to stir, I'm going to add everything else. So I'm going to add that teaspoon of vanilla. And I'm going to add the sugar and the cinnamon. So the sugar that's going to go inside the toast is going to sweeten it a little bit, and it's going to help caramelize. So if you are using cinnamon and sugar bread, like a cinnamon swirl, you could eliminate that together. All right, so cinnamon does not like to be absorbed by liquid. So you really want to whisk and really force that cinnamon to dissolve in the eggs and the sugar. And you want to be in a pretty good sized bowl because we are adding now that cup of milk. Now, typically I use whole milk, almond milk, coconut milk, whatever you like to use at home will work. And then just mix that together. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go through a little bit of a quick dipping process, and then we're going to go right into our fry pan. So I actually have, I'm going to spin you over here on the stove. I have this is a 12-inch non-stick skillet, and I'm going to put that on a good medium to actually a little bit medium high at first, just to warm it up, and then we will go. So hands are clean, of course, because we are using it. We're going to dip the bread, I'm going to say for about maybe 5-10 seconds, not too long. Drain it. And then I'm going to move it over onto a plate or a tray, and I'm going to let that bread just sit there for a little bit and make sure that custard that we just created gets absorbed all the way into the middle of the bread. Let's do 2 more. I think I can only cook 3 at a time, so I'm going to be doing batches. Let's just start with that, and I'll come back after I have the others soaked. Okay, so I've been heating up my pan. I can put my hand over and I can feel we have some heat. The other thing I want you to do is we're going to need those 2 tablespoons of butter. So I'm going to start with about 1 tablespoon because like I said, we're going to have to do a couple batches. It might take a little bit more butter. So I'm going to take a nice chunk of butter. And when you put it in the pan, you want to see that that butter is starting to be nice and foamy. You don't want it to burn. So I'm just going to use my knife really quick, kind of move it around. Okay, nice butter all on the bottom. And then I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to take my bread and I'm going to lay it right in there. Like I said, I think I can only get 3. And I'm going to leave a little bit of space in between so that they just start to cook. And I'm going to go ahead and dip some more bread. Now, don't cook these too fast, right? We have a nice thick bread. What we're looking for is them to caramelize slowly, but we need it to cook through that bread and into the middle. If you ever have French toast that's real thin and flat, you've cooked it a little too fast. What we're looking is for that egg to cook and kind of souffle, let the bread rise. So we're going to cook this a little low and slow, and I'm going to go ahead and get cooking, show you how to do that caramelized banana syrup. Let's run through the ingredients actually needed for the caramelized banana syrup. So you can just use regular maple syrup, but we're going to kind of make this topping a little bit more delicious. So we're going to start with a tablespoon of butter, so I still have some butter. It calls for 2 bananas. I'm going to just do a half a recipe today, so I'm just going to use 1. You need 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, so I have 1 tablespoon ready. Remember, anytime you measure brown sugar, you need to pack it. Brown sugar also, it is like white granulated sugar, but it has molasses added to it, so it gives you that really good kind of maple flavor. I also have rum extract, so this is a little bit different. If you don't have rum extract, almost everybody would have vanilla. I would add just a little bit of that vanilla extract. And then again, half a cup of maple syrup. I have a 1/4 cup ready to go. All right, I'm going to go slice my bananas, check on that French toast, and then we'll be right with you. Okay, I'm keeping an eye on those first 3 pieces of French toast. They're almost ready to flip. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing the caramelized bananas first. So the first thing you want to do is, again, I'm still going to use a Teflon pan. I want to turn my heat on to about a medium, and I'm going to go ahead and add the butter. So again, the original recipe was about a tablespoon, so I'm going to go in with about a teaspoon. I'm someone who kind of likes to have a lot of butter on my pan. Okay, while that's warming up, let's just turn and let's take a look over here. And let's go ahead and see. Now remember, still Teflon, so plastic spatula, okay? And what we want to do is you want to get up underneath, and I'm actually going to look. I'm going to tip one side up. This looks really good. And I'm going to flip it. Look at that golden brown. Perfect. Let's flip the second one. Let's go in for the third one. Nice. Okay, I'm just going to have them soak a little bit more. If you feel like you need to add a little bit more butter, you can, but I don't think I'm going to. I'm going to keep those on that low heat. Okay, let's go over here. Let's let this pan warm up a little bit. Start getting that butter nice and warm. So I've gone ahead and I've sliced up my bananas so that they're ready to go. I want a nice layer of that butter. And this is actually the same size you would use for your omelets. Let that get hot. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just, let me see if I can. I'm going to use the rubber scraper for this one. I'm going to go ahead and just add those bananas. And what I'm looking for is this butter just to get a little bit frothy, which it's just starting to do, get foamy. And I'm going to go ahead and add the bananas in there. And I want to move them around. So if you're going to do a double recipe or your single recipe, I did a half recipe, you might need something bigger. You want to go ahead and keep them so that they're in a nice little single layer. All right, and while they're cooking on that side, I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to kind of brown them on that one side. I'm going to sprinkle them with that brown sugar. So the brown sugar is going to start to melt in the butter as well. So we need to make sure that it's not going to burn. And once we add that maple syrup, the brown sugar will dissolve inside and give it a really good flavor. Okay, so I added that brown sugar. I'm going to go back and check my French toast. Okay, those first 3 slices are done. I'm going to go ahead and cook a little more while we're watching the bananas. Okay, kind of toss those around just a little bit, nice and brown. So I'm going to go ahead and add just a half a teaspoon of that rum extract. And I'm going to go ahead, turn off the heat, and I'm going to pour in my maple syrup. And the reason why I turn off the heat is that pan is hot enough. We just want to warm up the maple syrup. We really don't want to cook it. If we cook it too long, it's going to thicken up, and then you're not going to be able to pour it. It's going to be too thick. So I'm just kind of coating those bananas in that syrup. And warm them up just a little bit. All right, let's grab our French toast. So I've served up, I'm going to do 3. Somebody's going to get cheated, but that's okay. I'm going to do 3 pieces of the French toast. Look at that. Oh, it's bubbling warm. Okay, come over here. All right. Take your syrup, and I'm going to take a spoon, and I'm going to put bananas right over the top. Remember, this should serve 4, so I'm going to use about half of this because I only did, again, a half recipe. So about half a banana. Get some of that maple syrup right over the entire top. And there you go. Oh, what are we missing? We need to hit this with some powdered sugar. Let's see if we can find some. Well, unfortunately, no powdered sugar in the house today, but enjoy your French toast. Remember, that's a special custard, and your caramelized bananas. Enjoy.